Today is Wednesday, December the 11th, 2024. And most people don't realize that this is the Chinese year of the dragon. And as we're ending 2024, I am contemplating moving into the Chinese year of the snake, which is 2025. And this video is a continuation of the monetization of media video that I did a few days ago. But I decided to pull this together because I have been contemplating the number of reported suicides by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in Virginia, and the average of about 100 suicides per month since 2023. I also posted yesterday some more Bible scholar challenges and considerations, in addition to one of my favorite cartoon videos on the Little Red Hen. And I'm sharing that before I get into this topic of digital equity, how children are lured to serve and how parents are made the enemy, by a blog post that was shared with me from an individual who says that she hates the Little Red Hen because of her morally high stance. And the reason that I love the story of the Little Red Hen is, one, not only because there is a reference to the hen in the Bible that kind of fits the things that I try to help illuminate for people and to help them to understand about me and my character and my goal of just sort of gathering everyone together so that we can all see the bigger picture and work together towards resolving the issues. But it's because the lesson of the story is about not being willing to help someone who is invested in putting in the work for an outcome that could benefit everyone, but ultimately she decides not to share it at all. And you know, the overarching ideas that have come to me is just what it feels like to have no one be willing to help you. And I like the particular cartoon version of the story that I shared because she actually has 4 little chicks who are helping her. It is the other animals on the farm who refuse to provide her the assistance to be able to cultivate the wheat so that they can all eat. But she did have the babies who were helping her, and of course they joined her at the end of this particular cartoon version to partake in the meal that they had harvested and prepared and or grown and then prepared together as a family. But just what it feels like to be in need of assistance, meaning you're having a problem and you don't know how to resolve it, and no one being willing to help you, which is a partial aspect of the theme in the first part of this video, the monetized media video, where I am really trying to help people understand that there are some people who are living in oppressed conditions, and that the dependency our society now has on cellular technology is part of the method that is used to oppress these people. So I wanted to pull this video together, and I'm going to do, instead of just talking about it, I'm going to share these clips. Here are the links so that you can write them down, type them into your browser, and you can watch the full videos that, sort of help not only to capture the essence of the point I'd like to make, but also kind of gives a timeline for how long I've been trying to help people to understand and appreciate this problem that we're having and that is growing like a cancer around digital equity and what digital equity really is. All the way up to, my commentary about this new online role-playing game called Enzoy, which is to launch in March. And that's significant because that's a different, when you talk about things like the Chinese astrological calendar and things like that, that's another seasonal break. That's, around the time of the spring equinox. So, all of these things sort of tie together, the biblical scholarship and the astrology and the technology as a complete methodology for how people are not only being lured, but then being able to recruit and then maintain people who are conditioned to focus on not only the monetary system now, but also on their own digital equity. So let me start with that. First few times. The other thing that I want to mention is that I am being silent. So I'm going to continue to make videos, but like March last year, I was silenced. All my accounts were hacked, or they were secured, and so I could not post anything from March until almost September of last year. But I did make some videos that I ultimately posted once I was able to regain access to my accounts. And that is what I mean when I talk about protecting women and children from internet, cellular, and cable abuse, because in the video that I did on what is the nature of a brick lock or lock mason, I talk about this. I talk about how devices are rendered unusable. And so I'm going to do a screenshot video of the process that I'm being taken through to recover my account, which I cannot do because I don't have access to my cellular phone number anymore. Which is probably a good thing because I posted it all over the internet now. And the other thing is that I don't have access to the 2 email accounts that I use most to set up these other social media accounts and Gmail and so forth and so on. And so as a result, I can't access my accounts, and I have no way of communicating otherwise because I don't have a cellular phone. I have a landline phone, but I don't have a cellular phone. So I want you to keep all them out. But they were not able to update my information in the store, which is part of my tech trauma. And I brought with me an iPad with the ID still in the settings, but not logged in, obviously. My driver's license, my passport, a utility bill from Dominion Power that I received through the mail, a Cox Communications bill for internet service, which I also received through the mail, a paper bill, and the last billing statement from my previous cell phone carrier with the phone number that I could no longer access. And being in the store, they still had to call customer service, and customer service was not able to make that change with me in the store to provide actual verification of anything they would need to verify my identity. So, my biggest concern about being in the Apple store yesterday was just the entire dynamic of the experience. But in a militarized zone where the use of technologies is being used not only operatively, but also via being part of research projects, because there's no other reason for there to be 290 something cell towers and then 900 and such antenna within a 3-mile radius of my home, or in a 3-mile radius of Norfolk. So, but there are more cell towers and more antenna all over this region. So, people are still getting sick, and and there's been a lot of closures. There's a lot of blight that, of course, people will not see when people are doing tours and things like that. If you're not from here and you're here as a tourist, they will usually send you to places where you can avoid seeing those kinds of things. But in the front of the store were was where most of the employees of the Apple store were. And of course, that's the area of the store where people are coming in to purchase new devices or upgrades to their current devices. In the back, which is where we were sent, are where all of the people were who already were Apple enthusiasts or Apple users who were, not interested in switching to Android, for example. And so they have cornered the market for their particular customers. And it felt like it wasn't always that way, because I've been a loyal Apple user for a long time. I have a desktop Mac. I have 2 MacBooks. I have a MacBook Air, and I have numerous iPhones and iPads, because I've gotten them as gifts, and our family has been dedicated to Apple. Because when they first opened Apple stores with the Genius bars here, I thought it was the bomb.com. I said, this is wonderful, how easy it is to use this stuff, and how supportive the employees are, and the customer service is amazing, and they offered classes, and it was just very seamless, which was enough to suck everybody in, of course. Now, when I went into the store, there were more people, customers, in the back of the store than there were browsing for new equipment, but most of the staff were in the front of the store. In the back were people. There was a woman in a wheelchair. There was a couple there that looked really tired. There were 2 kids that were crying. It reminded me of, being in a clinic during following a tornado or some kind of natural disaster. All these people back there waiting to be serviced, very tired. But what else can you do if your entire life is digitized, which is the direction that we have been groomed into for the last 30 years?
This implication of the state's digital equity plan and grant was awarded by the Biden administration via NTIA. And the implication that digital equity is not about ensuring that everyone has access, it's about the new real estate. And as I contemplated that, I thought about Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter for $43 or $44 billion. And I asked myself, what about a social media platform would allow you to evaluate it at such a high cost? And while watching just some random live feeds on YouTube, I came across the answer I needed to tie this all together. So first, let me show you a clip from the Frontline documentary on this Twitter purchase, and then I'll show you a clip from the live stream that I felt sort of ties everything.
I then want you to consider places where the women have no choice, and those who are in charge of making choices for the kinds of labor they will provide have options for entertainment or for domestic use. How then might your perspective of remote monitoring technology and surveillance change when you consider these possibilities? Now consider circumstances where the goal for any of these roles is for the monetization of content for either of these categories. Although I don't have answers for who is involved in the monetization process and ensuring that reimbursement is fair and equitable, I do believe that we have clarity on how the monetization process is an incentive for people who want to improve their financial standing. We also can appreciate how a use of social media that will allow you to monetize can also be boosted in ways that provide an assist for people who seem to be leading in the kinds of content that they create, but that can also help to shape
what types of content they tend to focus on, and how much of it they produce on a regular basis. All of those things contribute to the debates that we have about the negative aspects of social media use.
I'd now like to share with you the audio from my trip to the Apple Store, where I'm talking with the tech named Brent, who ultimately was not able to help me. But I want you to, as you listen to the audio, think to yourself what this might be like for someone who, again, does not have the same level of resources or awareness or capacity to even self-advocate around these technology issues, and what that might mean for them if they no longer have any access to their digital identity. And just think about that for a minute. And it's important that you contemplate this because, you think about how kids are from millennials, down through alpha, how they react if you take their devices away from them. When I was doing clinical work, that was a huge problem for kids who had access to cell phones is, if you took their cell phones from them, these kids would have complete and utter meltdowns. And I'm certain that it has not improved since that time because the dependency on cellular devices has increased so much just in the last 5 to 10 years. So as you think about the year of the snake, and the videos that I've done on Python, and the one video in particular is the evaluating the ecosystem, which I would highly recommend you watch if you haven't seen that one either, to give you a framework for this idea of moving from the year of the dragon into the year of the snake, and then how all of this has been set up in terms of the elections, in terms of just what has happened since 2016, in addition to the January 6th event, and how all of those things sort of play into this next phase that everyone should be going into, and then how that might contribute to the way people feel about moving forward with their lives, and the statistics that are coming forth from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in our state. But I would highly recommend that you check to see what things look like in your state, just to get an idea or a gauge for how people are feeling and how they're responding to the social climate that we're all being forced to live in right now. So let me go ahead and play the audio for you.
Password, am I correct?
I know the password.
We know the password.
But I cannot do two-factor verification because my information needs to be updated. So the address on file is the address for the ID I'm trying to upgrade.
Okay.
And the phone number on file I no longer have.
Okay.
So I went through the process of trying to update the phone number.
Okay.
They said you have to wait. And I said, oh, okay. And I've done that 3 times. I've actually spoken to a very nice young man in India who was supposed to contact me in 24 hours. Or he said you can go to Forget Apple ID and then, you can check the status, but I can't, it didn't show any change. I have to be able to get in and log in, but I can't log in because I cannot do two-factor verification. So I'm here. I have my passport. I have my utility bill. I have I have a bill from the account that I closed with the old phone number on it. I have my driver's license. And I also uploaded, and I think that's it. So whatever else, I can't imagine there's anything else I could possibly give you to it. Oh, and I have an iPad that is logged into the account. And you can see that I am not able to. The only thing I can't do is two-factor authentication.
So we'll hit agree or disagree.
Okay, let me read it.
And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the computer real quick.
Okay.
Let's see what we can do. So we said we'd gone to I forgot.
I mean, we could just, I can show you right on my iPad.
Sure.
What's it, Brett, you're just here to help me today.
I'm going to do my best to help you.
You do not own Apple.
I don't.
They just write your paycheck.
You're right.
So you're going to do the best because you're a genius.
I'm actually not genius. I'm a tech specialist.
Okay.
Geniuses are the folks that work on the Macs.
Okay, geniuses are people who are intelligent. That's what a genius is. If a genius works for Apple and they want to give you a title of genius, that's fine, but that doesn't take away your genius status.
Correct.
Alrighty.
Let's go ahead and log in right there for me.
All right, I'm gonna try. All right, so you gotta help me remember. Okay, here we go. Settings. Okay. If I go here, will that show you what you need to see, or do I need to go back to this area over here?
In terms of seeing
that I can't log in. I know the password, but for some reason it keeps asking me to.
Password needs to be updated. So if we've tried to update that password and sign in, it goes to two-factor authentication.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So
we have access to that email, correct?
no, the email is the Apple ID. Isn't that wonderful? Mm-hmm. Okay. No, it isn't, because that's the problem. Okay. It cannot. Okay. That's not gonna help you. Okay. Let's try. I don't want to do that. Can I just come in here?
So if we didn't get a verification code,
I don't have access to that phone number.
We don't have access to that phone
Correct.
number. Okay. And on our phone, and just an idea real quick. So reset your Apple ID on your iPhone or other trusted Apple device. Have we tried it going through the phone at all?
I don't have an Apple phone. I just have this.
Oh, you don't have an Apple phone, okay. Which makes sense, so we don't have a two-factor authentication. Did we set up a two-factor authentication in the past?
Yes, with this phone number, which was an Apple phone, but I don't have access to that number anymore. The phone number I did try to use is my landline, which you can't text. And I was able to do that. But again, I got the message that it was going to take 24 hours, and then they would, I could go to whatever, or they would send me an email, and neither of those things happened.
So this is about everything that we can do in store. Anything else that is going to need to happen through our support community, which is going to be 1-800-APPLE.
Okay, well, we did that for a year. They can't help me. That's why I came in here and waited for a whole 90 minutes to meet you, Brett.
Okay. So that said...
But it's okay. I just needed to document that you all will not update this ID. I need to have that. I need to have all of that documented.
Okay. It's not that I can't do it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Brett can't do it.
No, but we
Apple
have an internal system that should be able to do something.
I know all about it.
Set your Apple ID password, the Apple Support app on a borrowed device. We have that. Try a different Apple ID. We don't have a different Apple ID. We just have the one.
I do have another one.
We do.
And guess what? I have the same problem because the Apple ID is my email address for Cox Communications, which is the major broadband provider. And no, they deleted the whole email account.
Okay.
Now my Cox ID is still the same. And my email was my Cox ID at cox.net. And they deleted the entire email. So I can't recover that one either.
When's the last time we called Apple Support?
It was probably about 6 months ago, but the last time I tried to reset it was last week.
How did we try to reset it last week?
On this device here, using a different phone number that could receive a text message.
Let's go grab one of our loaner phones. We may need to make a phone call.
Okay.
Okay. Be right back.
Thank you.
Alrighty. So we're going to put you in recovery mode, and this is where essentially it's going to have to go through our online team.
Okay.
And I'm so sorry to give you that answer, but and I kind of confirmed with some folks backstage. There's a little bit of what we can do in store, and what we can't do in store is actually touch that account on the back end because it's so heavily encrypted we can't even see that. So that's where we have to put you in quote unquote account recovery, and that's where they have to actually physically over the phone get in touch with you.
Yeah. Okay. So do I give you a number they can call me at, or what?
I can set up a phone call for you if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other thing I wanted to do was to schedule an appointment to have my MacBook Air and the iPhone that I cannot use anymore looked at. And, I did bring that one, but you can't do anything with it. It flashes off and on.
How long has it been like that for?
since March 2023.
Okay. March 2023.
Yeah. So it just flashes on and off, and then it runs the battery all the way
And
down.
you said there's something going on with your Mac too?
Yes, I can't with my MacBook Air. I cannot log on to Apple's website.
Okay.
It won't let me. It won't let me. So I tried to reset my.
Okay.
And I can't get to the website.
Okay.
And I've tried logging in from different networks, from different Wi-Fi LAN networks, and then I've tried going outside of the Cox network to try to do it, to see if I can do it, and I can't do that either. So I have all this. I have Brett. I have been a loyal Apple customer since.
And
Probably
we want to thank you for
19. Well, since iPhone 3.
Okay.
And everything. I have a Mac. I have a desktop Mac. I have two different MacBooks. I have a MacBook Air, and I have numerous cell phones because I do not trade them in. I always keep my phones.
Any reason why we don't trade it in?
Because there's data on it, and so I keep and I paid for it, so I'm like, I don't want to trade it in.
Some of it might have some data that
okay,
we
whatever.
can transfer or get rid of.
Well, that's another conversation for another day. I'll invite you over for some wine and cheese. Okay, so anyway, I am so disappointed that I have all this all of this Apple equipment, and I can't use not nary one of them.
We'd love to keep you.
Look, Wozniak did a good job on this stuff for Joe. So I'm just trying to, recover it in some way, try to salvage it some way, But
I totally understand that. The unfortunate truth about what we can do in store, we handle a lot of like hardware type stuff in store. When people have damaged devices, more often than not, we can either get it rolling here, we can send it somewhere else where it will get a repair done. When it comes to some of the stuff on the account side of things, that's where we have like an online team, and that online team should be really, really good. Sounds like we have not had a great experience with them.
Well, only in the last 3 years. I had a wonderful experience with Apple up until about that time.
Yeah.
So, but there's, we had a pandemic and, all kinds of things. So, I don't blame you. I blame Marlene Dork. I don't know if you know who she is.
I don't know who that is.
She is the secretary of the Federal Communications Commission.
Okay.
So I blame her and, and whatever else is going on with the Department of Defense right now. Lloyd Austin and his prostate. Men in their prostate,
I get it.
But anyway, so at this point, I really appreciate the help that people on the ground have been trying to give me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have had complete chaos around all of my cellular, broadband, and internet services across the board. Cox Communications, T-Mobile, and Apple.
Okay.
So I just needed to get the documentation I needed to be able to demonstrate how I have been locked out of my digital life.
You tried to do everything the right way, but we haven't given you
That's correct. That's correct. So whoever is accountable for it will be held accountable for it. And I just needed to document it. That's all. It's not a hard process. It never is. People make it more complicated than it is. Either you did what you were supposed to do or you didn't. It's not hard. So, but Brett, guess what? Brett did what he was supposed to do.
We're doing our best.
Because you're a genius.
So we need to put it in recovery mode.
I want to mention that Brent did call Apple customer care while I was in the store and actually became frustrated because he had the exact same experience with me in the store as I had had at home, including a long hold time to then be connected and then during the call being disconnected and having to recall and be placed on hold again. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that here. If I feel it will be useful for that conversation to be shared, then I'll do so in another video at a later time.
So again, given full context and consideration to everything that I've shared, my question is, what would you be willing to do or to sacrifice in order to regain access to logins that have been secured or confiscated? And what do you imagine young people would be willing to do or to sacrifice in order to regain access to their logins? And then what do you think people who have been opportunists and who have worked really hard in order to monetize their social media, starting from, the bare minimum of 0 subscribers to making thousands of dollars a month using their social media, what they would be willing to do to regain access to their logins and their digital identity. That is equity. That's digital equity. And, when you think about that and how people are married to the idea of money as the solution to the problems that they have in their day-to-day life, how would this mindset of being able to secure or even having anxiety about losing access to your digital identity contribute to people not being able to accurately assess the environmental conditions, the social conditions, the relationship conditions that are continuing to deteriorate in lieu of being able to increase the valuation of their online equity? How much do you value your online identity? How much do you value your life? And what is it that you believe you cannot live without?